Welcome to the Mobile County Public School Athletics Show. My name's Brad Lowell, Director of Athletics for the Mobile County Public Schools. Here today we have Ms. Bridget Hollis, Athletic Director and Coach at Denton Middle School, Magnet Middle School. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
One thing that we wanted to do is kind of talk a little bit more about middle schools, feature middle schools more, and I thought, starting off with Denton Magnet, it's kind of a new school, being a magnet school, even though it used to be the old Azalea Middle School, then it became Denton, now it's Denton Magnet. Kind of describe a little bit about how that transition has gone as far as with middle school, but also in correlation to athletics.
Well, this is our first year to be a full magnet school. We're in our third year. Our 8th grade class that we have was a phenomenal athletic group. They were our last grandfathered in class. And so it has been a big transition. I mean, academics is very strong in the magnet program. So athletically, making sure that they're staying on top of those things. And at our school, we encourage them to play as many sports as they can. So we know that we're packing their schedule in the afternoons. So we have to be unique and find different ways that we can get them the help and the tutoring that they need. Even more so, I know we do that at every school, but even more so at that magnet program level.
Yeah, and we have 4 magnet schools, middle schools in the county, with you guys being one of them. And a lot of times we go by the state guidelines or bylaws in regards to athletic eligibility, and they have the academic standards there, but y'all kind of set it a little higher, correct?
Correct. At our school, if you must maintain a 70 average in all your courses in order to be eligible to play sports. So for us, every 2 weeks I pull grades and I try to catch kids that are close, and we pull them from practice. If they're below a 70, they're pulled out of practice, and instead we do tutoring in the afternoons. Instead of practice, they go to tutoring, and we also have peer help, homework help, and they'll go to that. And then once they have, and when progress reports came out, if they had below a 70 in any course, they went academically ineligible. And our principal, Mr. Gill, is phenomenal, and he has individual conferences with every single athlete that has any issues. It doesn't matter if it's an elective course, and he works very closely with them on a daily basis now at this point, talking to them and communicating with them and their teachers. But a whole nother aspect to our school that I really feel like makes us very unique is our staff is 22 teachers.
Right.
And we have worked very closely with them to create a family atmosphere for our athletes. So if you're not doing right in an English class, in 30 seconds, I'm receiving a message or Coach Wilder's receiving a message, and it's handled.
Right.
We're a very close-knit faculty, and you can tell it's really impacting our kids.
Well, and I think that, that not only puts a lot of accountability on them to make sure that they, are able to meet the standards that's expected at the school's academic level, but also being able to participate in athletics themselves to maintain that type of grades throughout the year. Y'all just held your first football game at home. I know you've been instrumental in trying to get and host your home football games without having to go somewhere else to play. How did that go?
Well, like I said, academically, our programs are phenomenal. We're very confident in our academic programs, and so Mr. Gill and I have really been working. We would like to match that athletically. And you guys know facilities are a big issue in the middle school level, and we depend a lot on our high schools that are next door to us, and we've depended a lot on Davidson to use their fields, but we have so much space. Coach Steele helped me. She's our soccer coach, and we got Thompson Engineering out, and they came out and surveyed the field. So we have a football, soccer field. Then our next step is to get into a multi-purpose field for baseball and softball. And when you have those type of facilities, then you can bring in people to do clinics with your kids. It just gives the kids more opportunities to have more experience. And at our middle school levels, especially in Mobile, that's what a lot of our kids lack is experience and the fundamentals of sports.
That's right.
And so, soccer coach. She does a phenomenal job of bringing in people to help her teach the fundamentals of soccer and the rules of soccer. And so we're really excited about what we're seeing.
I think it's great that you and Mr. Gill and the administration has put in the importance to athletics because I've said many times that athletics can create and decide the culture of a school. But also, like you said, gives kids more opportunities to be involved and to learn the skills necessary before they get to high school. Because if those sports are not offered in the middle school, they're already 2 years behind once they get to high school competing against other kids.
Right.
And so I think it's great what you guys are doing. Also with the magnet, you have some different rules there with eligibility, you know, kids that come in and leave.
Right.
And so a little bit about that is there's really not a homeschool scenario with you guys because kids are kind of pulled from all parts of the county.
Right.
And I think what a lot of people really don't understand or truly understand is that all athletic eligibility starts in the 7th grade, no matter where they are. In this case at Denton, 7th grade, if they start at Denton at the 7th grade, they're eligible for Denton Magnet School.
Right.
But if they have to transfer after that at any point, then they have to sit out a year because of overlapping school zones, and that's based on AHSAA bylaws. And I know that catches some kids, especially if they become academic, if they don't qualify academic to stay at Denton.
Correct.
But they may meet the academic requirements by the AHSAA, but it's the overlapping school zones that gets them.
Right. And it is, and we actually have been talking to our parents because a lot of our parents believe, you know, if they're academically accepted into a school, that makes them athletically eligible. And so we've had to have a lot of conversations with and educate our parents on those bylaws and letting them know that you've got to live within this zone, and if you don't, you have to sit a year. So it's not only educating our kids, but we're also educating the adults as well and helping them to understand what all of it means, because the last thing we want is for a kid or a parent to take their child somewhere and not be educated about what the rules are for the AHSAA.
That's right. And also in middle school, you got transportation is an issue with athletic events, especially when you have to reschedule and storms, and like we did over this past week, and it makes it really difficult. And I know for you, I appreciate what you do for the time and effort that you put in for being the athletic director, but also coaching volleyball, and you coaching something in the spring too?
I'm coaching girls track.
Girls track, so I know you're staying busy,
Absolutely.
but also trying to oversee all the other things, and with the students, making sure they stay on the same path. So again, thank you for coming in and talking a little bit about Denton Magnet, what you guys got going on, and sounds like a great place to be for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, at this time, we'll go to break, and we'll come back with Coach Scott from Viger High School.
We've established a culture of innovation here at Mary B. Austin. We've made it our goal to disrupt the status quo of traditional learning as we prepare our students for their future in this global society. We call our students the Austin Innovators because we want to develop outside-the-box thinkers. We want to develop students who think critically, who think entrepreneurially, and who can collaborate well with others. Our focus is entirely on our students and engaging them in meaningful, real-world learning experiences. Here at Austin, we've been able to do this through our seamless integration of project-based and service learning, the Talents Unlimited model for critical and creative thinking, design thinking and digital literacy through our emerging technologies and communication labs, integration of fine arts, and a focus on 21st century skills and entrepreneurship.
Do you have what it takes to be an Envision graduate? We are pioneering students to be all they can be, from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade.
I definitely would recommend Envision to other students who feel the way I feel. They really work with you, and they've gotten tutors, and you have online teachers to talk to.
It starts right here. It starts right now. Envision Virtual Academy. Enroll today.
In Mobile County Public Schools, we are redefining ready. We are graduating college ready, career ready, and life ready. We are more than just a test score. We are earning college credit while in high school. We are working internships to get real-world experience. We are welders. We are certified nursing assistants. We are redefining ready.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're here with Coach Scott from Viger High School, athletic director, head football coach. Coach, thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Viger's off to a great start this year. Little change in the region with St. Paul's moving up to 6A, but Satsuma moving up from 4A to 5A. In fact, you guys just finished up playing Satsuma last week and came out with a big win against them.
Yeah, we went out against Satsuma and started off a little slow. It was they kicked the field goal early, and after that, I think we scored about 40 unanswered. So it was a good night for us. But good, credit to Coach Nelson and his staff. They do a great job up there, and we was able to play well.
Well, and going into your 4th year at Viger this year, and you've had coaching stints, correct me if I'm wrong, previously at Foley High School, and then you actually were at Viger at one point in your career. Can you tell us a little bit about that time period?
Yeah, I actually started out at Alma Bryant, and then I left Alma Bryant with Kerry Stevenson, and we went to Viger, and I was the first hire he made there, and I was his defensive coordinator there for 5 years. And that was from 03 to 07, with 5 seasons, and we had a good run there.
Yeah, you did.
We made the playoffs every year except for one. And I like to think we laid the foundation to build some of the things that he had success with in that 2007, 2008 season. So.
Well, and worked with some really good coaches with Coach Stevenson and Coach Watson at Foley, and then now taking over your own program at Viger. And the expectations are high. These are the kids now that you got when they were freshmen. They're now seniors. Talk to us a little about, are you a pretty heavy senior team this year, coming into this year?
Yeah, we're pretty senior heavy, but also we have a decent mix of sophomores. We're a little light on the junior class, but the sophomore class is kind of it's pretty big for us. So right now we're senior heavy, but those seniors have played a lot of football. And we took some L's and we took some losses with them early to get to this point. We knew one day that we would be here. When we were a very young team, no one really knew we were young as we were, because we were playing a bunch of sophomores and a bunch of juniors, and we just kind of rolled with the punches and never really just said, hey, we're playing a bunch of young kids. No, this is the team we have, so we're going to play with them.
Well, and I tell everybody, there's nothing like experience. You cannot substitute game experience, dealing especially with high school kids. Expectations for Viger are obviously always very high, and that has been created throughout the past with championship teams. And I know for this group here, that's what they would expect too, a championship level type team. Last year you lost in the quarterfinals against Demopolis. Which made a little run right there. So the kids, all these kids coming back now, I know they're expecting that and more to come, but you got to take one game at a time. And of course you got a big one coming up against Jackson, correct, at Jackson. What is the outlook for that game Friday night?
Well, the outlook is always to go and play well. And go and represent our school and our community with class and dignity, and play to the standard of Viger High School. And it's kind of interesting you mentioned that. I speak to my guys, especially in our pregame, about two things all the time: tradition and reputation. Tradition is stuff that came before you. Tradition is those things that are put in place by other players and the school that you're around. So at Viger, you're kind of unique. You have tradition and reputation. Some schools just have tradition, some just have reputation.
Right.
And you have both. And you have a tradition of being really good, and you have a reputation for being physical. So we have a lot to live up to. And so those are the things that we try to preach to our guys, and also some things you hit on in there also about being 1-0 every week. We can't look past one game, we can't look back at another one. So every game we go in, we just have a goal of being 1-0 at the end of the game. And that's kind of where we're keeping our focus at, just playing one game at a time and get through this game and come back and regroup and figure out how we're going to win the next one, how we're going to attack that next game. So the outlook for Jackson is always the same, to be 1-0 at the end of the game on Friday night and go out there and put our best team that we have available on the field. Right. And so hopefully we can do that through running the football and being methodical in the passing game, and that's usually our method.
Yeah, and I mean, even growing up, that's how I always pictured Viger, and even play Viger. You're going to get a hard-nosed, physical group, and it's going to be a tough ball game. I mean, you're going to know you're in a battle when you go to bed at night. You'd be sore the next day. You talk about tradition. The Battle of Pritchard is a tradition for both schools to come and compete against each other, and you guys ended up on top this year and broke a losing streak over the past few years this year, which I know the kids were tremendously excited about that, and because it's not like that's something that you have bragging rights throughout the year for that game, but I know you had to put it past, and you were able to recognize a Viger High School Hall of Famer. Can you tell us a little bit about that night for the Battle of Pritchard and then the recognition of NFL Hall of Famer?
Well, that was a very special night. It'll be one of those that'll go down in my memory book as being one of the better nights to be a head coach in high school football, especially being a head coach of the Viger Wolves and being a part of that night. It was a great night from the standpoint that, man, it was electric. We really had a really good environment. We had the 1988 football team reunion that night as well. As well, we had a team that went out there and fought their tails off to go and win the Battle of Pritchard, be the first team to win that game in the last 5 years, from my understanding. And also, we had an opportunity to recognize Rob Brazil, who went into the Hall of Fame, the 2018 Hall of Fame this year, a Viger alumni that has been an ambassador for Viger High School and Mobile County Public Schools since he returned to Mobile in the 80s. And so it was an awesome environment, and I was just blessed to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could really script a better start to the season. I know you still got a long way to go and more to accomplish, but I know you have to be happy where you are leading into this Friday night against Jackson.
Yes, and I want to touch back on one thing from the Satsuma game. We also recognized David Wyndham, who was a Viger alumni that played on the Super Bowl, the replacements.
Awesome.
The replacement team, when they brought in the replacements, and he played for the Washington Redskins and got a Super Bowl ring. We honored him as well with our Satsuma game. So we're gonna recognize some other teams in Viger history this year. Also, we'll be recognized in the 2008 state championship team in the coming weeks. So it's gonna be a recognition season for Viger, because, you know, as we know, those 8s usually mean something in Viger. So we're going to recognize some more teams this year.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it, and congratulations on a good start this year, and good luck this Friday night against Jackson.
Well, thank you much. We're going to need it. They're a very good Jackson team, and as usual, they will. I'm sure they'll be. Coach Powell have those guys ready to go.
All right, Coach Scott, thanks for coming again. At this time, we'll go to break, and we'll be back with Coach Sumter for Williamson High School.
more parents are involved in school, the more likely it is a child will succeed. Children with involved parents and attend school regularly make better grades and have better social skills. Every involved parent makes a difference.
Get involved.
Ask about your child's day.
Explain how your education matters.
Parent involvement, it matters.
You can find more information on parent involvement at mcpss.com.
Welcome back to our show. We're here with Coach Sumter, head coach and athletic director at Williamson High School. Coach, thanks for being here.
I appreciate it.
I know before the break, I was sitting here asking how long, many years, and I thought thinking forward, this is your 7th year at Williamson.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Williamson's gone through some changes as far as the school itself becoming a 6 through 12 school, correct?
Yes, sir.
How has that been for you?
Paperwork wise, because I'm very diligent on that, it's a lot on me as being the head football coach. But the good thing about it, we have a chance to instill the values and the vision of what Mr. Lane wants at an early age. Mm-hmm. So that's the most positive thing, and we have them on campus.
Right.
So they have a chance to be around and to see how the process is applied to each sport.
Yeah, and I know there's positives and negatives to everything, but it can't but help having your middle school kids on campus. But I do know trying to get the paperwork part of it is a different story.
Yes, sir.
There is trade-offs, but it's kind of unique because right now, currently, Williamson High School is the only high school that has that setup of a 6 through 12 school. Also, you guys dropped to 4A.
Yes, sir.
For the first year. So you're kind of now working through a new region.
Yes, sir.
You had a big game this Friday night.
Yes, sir.
Came up a little short against the defending state champs in 4A, UMS Wright.
Yes, sir.
But going into that game, you had to start off 2-0.
Yes, sir.
And now you got a big matchup this week or this Friday against Monroe County.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about your season so far, what you can pull out of last Friday night, and then what to expect here in the near future.
Like I said, started out well for all that adversity through those first 3-4 years, and we're at the point that to start off 2-0, really to start out 1-0 in the region. Because every time we went to the playoff, we had to come from behind for being 0-3. So I just try to pull the positive out of everything what we do. But then, we played a very good UMS, well coached. And, I think a lot of Coach Ted Curtis, because Coach seemed the best of both worlds because he had to deal with the inner city for 25. Then the late in the part of his career, he had to deal with a different type of athlete. So me and him discussed some things but the positive out of it, that we did match up well, but you can't make mistakes.
Right.
And I think that was the best thing to happen, because we went in a little unfocused than usual.
Right.
But this is a young team. So I think we'll bounce back and still, got another region game coming to Mobile. But this is our first home game, so we've been on the road.
Right.
But to win on the road and really to go to Clark County and win in a good fashion, I still think we're not clicking on all cylinders. But I take what we have now.
Right. Well, and we were talking earlier, sometimes, especially early in the season, sometimes you can get more out of a loss than you can if you win every single ball game, due to, like you said, maybe getting the kids refocused and understanding that they can't take a week off.
That's right.
Mentally.
That's right.
But also, coming into UMS, which always is a tough environment to play in.
Yes, sir.
It definitely gives you a little measuring stick on
It does.
where you are. And I thought you guys, I saw half of the game. It was a low-scoring game there for a while, and they didn't pull away a little bit till late there in the second half.
Yes, sir.
So I know you could pull a lot out of it. Looking at the outlook for the rest of the season, I know you have Monroe County Friday night, and you want to take one game at a time, but who are the other opponents in your region that you're going to end up playing throughout the year as your quest for the playoffs?
To piggyback off what Coach Scott was talking about with tradition and reputation. So you have Andalusia, who has probably been one of the top 4A teams.
That's right.
forever.
For years. That's right.
For years. Even when I was a basketball coach, they was a great basketball school.
That's right.
So the tradition and the reputation of Andalusia, that in which that we have to go on the road again to face that team. But
Right.
I think everything in life, everything happened accordingly.
Sure.
Because we had to go to Amber Bryant. That was a tough environment, a 7A school. So I think that through all the games, it was something to prepare you for when you have to go into Andalusia. Then you got to think about it. You got Hillcrest Evergreen, who are another defending state champion.
That's right.
Have to travel there.
That's right.
Then also Escambia County, much improved. Very much improved team, but they'll come to us. And then you think about W.S. Neal and they coaches, he won a state championship.
Right.
So it doesn't get any easy. Everybody was like 4A, but it was like, okay now.
No, that's right. It
was tough.
It
It's
is
tough.
tough.
Very tough.
And just because, dropping a classification, like you said, just general perception is, oh, it's going to be easier.
No, sir.
But that's not the case at all.
No, sir,
You
it's
still
not.
play a lot of quality football teams, a lot of quality coaches coach at those levels, and it's a battle week in, week out. And I know you had some really good players graduate last
Yes,
year,
sir.
and so you're kind of trying to fill those shoes of those kids that left and went on and to play. How are your kids so far this year? The way they come out and competed, are you pretty pleased?
Yeah, now, one thing about it, Coach, is that they're going to play hard. That's even when the bad years, we're going to play hard. But what I'm trying to explain to them is that playing focus and hard is a whole another level.
That's
so
right.
it was something that it hurt them real bad. It hurt them real bad to lose, and to lose by making mental errors.
Right.
So now they came in yesterday way more focused. So we kind of had to battle, be careful about that heat yesterday.
That's right.
So we kind of slimmed things down, did a lot of recovery things. But the most important thing, to get them sharp mentally. And I remember I met with Nick Saban a couple of years ago. One thing I did he had this called the 7 teacher progression.
That's right.
So I try to follow that, because all of our football players take a learning-based test, and we was able to identify how do they learn. But the
right.
7 teacher progression governs it all. So the first thing doing the laws, I look at me, like, man, what can I do better? How can I get them motivated, even if I don't even call plays anymore?
Right.
But, yes, sir.
Well, I respect what you do. You're always very diligent on your paperwork and your, when they come to audit, and the values that you teach your kids. And
Yes, sir.
so I appreciate you coming in, and thank you again for what
Appreciate
you
you,
do.
Coach.
And good luck Friday night
Thank
and the
you.
rest of the season. All right, that will conclude our show for today, and we'll be back next week. Thank you.